The importance of today's hearing will become very apparent to the American people as we go through the conversation that we're going to have with each and every one of you. The ideas about tracking agency process on identifying and preventing fraud and improper payments. The estimated amounts of waste, fraud, and abuse in COVID-related programs are simply mind-boggling. $500 billion. And while each of our witnesses today are aware of this figure, many in the American public and many members of Congress may not be. So, that's why we're having this hearing. We have been working on this in the subcommittee on a bipartisan basis for a long time. We're today looking for and searching for answers. We find that much of it was lost to criminal actors and our enemies, often comical, simple tactics, taking advantage of the American taxpayer. If this is not a call to action, I don't know where there is one. And so today we will politely work through that process. We will talk to logical people who have questions and answers. We will be asking them for their professional comments. The full committee and this subcommittee will hold hearings at the beginning of the next Congress on this subject, I'm sure. And during those hearings, it will be clearly asked about how could this happen and could it happen again? So these are questions we're going to ask today. That's easy for us to say, but I think it should be a demand on agencies and upon all of us to make sure that we can answer that before we walk out of here. Are we on the pathway? Do we know what happened? Because things have to change. And that includes the way the oversight community, and that is this subcommittee, will look at and track progress not only on federal agencies, but also at the state level to make our anti-fraud measures amount to more than just a screen door on a submarine, meaning it's just open for fraud. This committee and the Government Reform and Oversight will today release a staff report regarding fraud in COVID-related unemployment insurance programs. That number is stunning also. One of the report's findings was that in many instances, states were unprepared to implement the emergency provisions passed by Congress to include the attending spike in unemployment claims. And while it's true COVID was an unprecedented situation, it nonetheless exposed weaknesses in the unemployment insurance framework, namely an ability to scale itself at a time when many people sought that help. There were also too many instances of basic oversight measures like verification of identity not even sought or being taken. These are but a few examples in one program, but they illustrate the problem and they illustrate the need to effectively track efforts to plug these holes now. This hearing was originally intended to serve as a rollout for a scorecard to track anti-fraud and improper payment steps in major programs, but it quickly changed. So ultimately, it's become apparent that we simply lack the data to determine whether programs and agencies are getting better. It is unacceptable to think that we would simply excuse this behavior rather than fixing what has been placed before us. So in this hearing, as I have told our witnesses, I want to ask the basics. What are the questions that we need to ask? What information is needed? And how are we going to work together to see not just the problem, but the answers? And I will tell you that each of these lie before us today. We're not going to blame someone. We're going to find the problems, and we need to fix them.